We have an evergreen tree here. It's kind of similar to a cedar. And as you can tell, it is like, it's one tree, but it's two trees. And it makes the shape of a V. So take note. Here we have a very majestic, one of a kind sycamore. This is a sycamore. It's the only one on all the property. It too is about 4 feet thick, quite tall, sacred to Isis, if I'm not mistaken. And what do we have here? Some beautiful wild flowers that are growing. So it's definitely, you know, an Isis. Isis is definitely happy with her tree. It's quite the gnarly tree, if you see what I mean. Like, that's where a limb used to be. Sycamore trees have a very unique bark. But this tree is just what I would call a single tree, as it's not two trees, it's one tree. So take note of that. Let's zoom in on that. Get a picture maybe. Beautiful flowers. What a surprise. Alright, as we carry on, you could say that this would be another of the two trees. It's one tree, splits into two. That's a dogwood. We have another one right over here. It's not a dogwood though, it's a type of oak. Right here. It's a two tree. There are quite a few of the two trees on the property, and I think that's for a reason. Now, as I was saying, this sycamore is one of a kind, the only one like in the area, like for a long ways. And then that giant evergreen cedar tree. It's not a cedar. I don't know what kind of tree it is, but it's in that family. That cedar is the only one of its kind out here. I guess we'll go this way so we can see the other two trees. Now, I was trying to make a video earlier, but I was having complications. I'm just going to talk about how the area here is a nexus point. It is a threshold within a threshold within thresholds. Many different thresholds that all intersect at the same point. You have old world, new world. You have city and country, because we're in the country, but we're not fully in the country, but we're not in the city. I'm currently strolling the grounds of the property. The property is a Catholic church out in the country on like farmland. But with all the trees, it's also used as a school for druidry, which some would say is pagan. So it's both a pagan holy spot as well as a Christian holy spot. And with the Druids, that would be Celtic. So you would have the goddess Brigid. But the funny thing is about the goddess Brigid is the Christians claim her too as a saint. So you have Saint Brigid for the Christians here, then you have the goddess Brigid for the pagans. So it's like two worlds in one. Now, this tree right here, a very, very gnarly tree, another one of a kind. I'm pretty sure they kept this tree for this purpose. There's not a lot of pines out here. I mean, there's pines out here, but they didn't keep the pines. They cut them all down. So there's not a lot of pines. It's mainly oaks, and then like some hollies, and then like every once in a while you get that one rare gnarly tree. But this is a very gnarly pine. It's probably the most gnarliest pine I've ever seen. In the middle of the night when you walk up on this thing, it's a little scary. As I was saying, I'm not usually here in the daytime. That's not my shift. We have a deal with the Christians. They get the daytime, we get the nighttime. Right? If you notice, it kind of looks like a dog or a demon. It's quite gnarly, and it's two faces in one. Once again, that two worlds. That would be one face. That would be the other face. Quite the gnarly tree. Now this is a what I would call a one tree. It's just one lone shaft, kind of like a penis. It's the male. It represents the one trees are the masculine. The two trees, well, except for like the sycamore, which is like kind of weird because like that's an Isis tree. But the one pine tree out here, it has its divine counterpart, which is this pine tree, which is one tree that turns into two once again, and then you got the V shape. I'm pretty sure that's why they kept these two trees. So we have the masculine one tree, very gnarly, and then the two, the feminine. Now, uniquely over here is a three tree. It's the only like three tree that they like really have like sticking out. And it would be the Trinity, I guess. In our initiation rituals, this tree represents the three judges of the underworld. And here we have some morning glories. More beautiful flowers. Beautiful flowers. And then this is a type of, it's like in the juniper family, evergreen. Trinity, 3. For our rituals, it represents the three judges of the underworld, which is King Minos, Rhadamanthus, and I forgot the other one. Anyway, as we carry on, we will find another of the two trees. This one is another evergreen, kind of in the cedar family, I guess. It's not a cedar, but it is an evergreen. Two trees, V-shaped. And then over here on the outside of the fence, we are currently just in a kind of like a giant field, and the church sits in the middle of it. We got another two tree. Now, with that two tree right there, obviously, right beside it is the one tree, so it's like the male and the female. That is a type of oak of sorts. And then there's also right here, I guess that would be considered a two tree, maybe a magnolia tree. But right here we have an oak, and it's a two tree. Starts off as one tree, becomes two, kind of goes into that V shape. And then I guess that would be its counterpart right there, but it's a pine tree. But it is a one tree. And then there's another pine tree right here. It's a different kind of pine. I'm not sure what kind of pine it is. It's very like, majestic in a sense that it's like kind of you would find like in the mountains. And then we have a one oak right there. And then you'll see in the background a bunch of oaks. Those are small oaks. There's a dogwood, a bunch of other oaks. There's some cedars over there. Those are more or less irrelevant for this lesson. Moving on, we will go to the other side of the property. We'll be right back. As we venture over there, I was talking about Saint Brigid, or the goddess Brigid, earlier. Brigid is quite the interesting character for this property because being both Christian and pagan, she is at least in the Celtic pagan tradition, she was associated with obviously like the fire in like the hearth or the forge, and then also she was associated with like sacred waters or like springs or wells where the water came out. So it was like kind of like two opposing elements right there, the water and the fire. And oh man, her being associated with the sacred waters, the wells, there just happens to be on the property several wells that bring up groundwater. So like she would, the goddess would definitely be happy with that. Now here at the church they don't do anything with fire, so there's no sacred fires. There is a hearth though, which is quite interesting. I'm walking through the grove as we speak. And you'll see basically like the two trees and then the one trees. Further ahead is where there will be a bunch of holly trees. There's one of the wells right there. It being out here in the country, they do have city water because there is several little buildings, old houses type buildings on the property. Like if you see in the distance, well, there's one right there. There's another one, that blue building in the background, and then there's another one over there. Those buildings or houses, they all have city water. They have plumbing and pipes as across. They all have plumbing, city water from the city. But the church itself, the building, which is right behind me, that building, which sits like in the middle of a field with the parking lot they built, it runs on well water. And then the landscaping to water the grass and the flowers and all that also uses well water. So you have two sources of water there. Here is a holly tree. It's a two tree. Hollies are evergreens, very sacred in Celtic lore in our Druidry school here. I believe magic wands are made out of the holly tree, so there's plenty of those around. Here in the parking lot, they did a wonderful job at keeping some of the trees, but you will see one tree, two tree, two tree, one tree. Those are all one trees. And then there is a huge amount of woods behind us and to the side of us. It will be the untamed wilderness. And then there's a oak tree, that's a 2 right there. And there's one right behind it. I'm pretty sure that they kept those trees on purpose. And I'll be getting to that point here in just a minute. This area right here that I'm at, you'll notice there's a statue of the Divine Mother, which is Mother Mary, because we're at a Catholic church. That's the great thing about this area, is that, as I said, in the daytime, it's a Catholic church for the Christians. And so that would be, the Divine Mother would definitely be Mother Mary. And this little garden here, I deduced on my own through Gnosis of what it is. It's a prayer garden of sorts, but on the property, the only life-size statue they have, including like inside or outside the church, is Mother Mary. Now they do have a little small statue of Jesus, a small statue of Joseph. Together that would be like a way of representing the Trinity, the original Trinity, which like we would celebrate in the pagan schools of Father, Mother, Child. So this it's kind of like a prayer walk. I guess that's what you would call it, is a prayer walk, prayer garden. A little path here, and it goes and winds around into a circle over there towards the statue of Mother Mary. Very sacred tree, very sacred area, sacred statue, sacred goddess, sacred being, however you look at her. Now the Christians obviously see it as Mother Mary, but us in the Druid school here look at her as the Divine Mother, or the goddess. And so we often come here to lament her, give her our prayers, give her offerings, seek her blessings. And of course that's like all under the guise, you know, we're not out in like our full pagan attire, but being at night, we're seldom seen. But if it were in the daytime like now, it would easily pass for monotheism or Christianity. Now, it being Mother Mary, any good schoolboy will tell you the prayer you say to Mother Mary is the Hail Mary. Hail Mary, Divine Mother. Blessed is thy name amongst all men and all women. So I'm not Catholic and I don't know the full Hail Mary prayer. Once again, let's see, Hail Mary. So I have deduced that it being a circle like this, it kind of is supposed to represent the rosary. So instead of like, ooh, got a mushroom right there. Interesting. Might be an omen. And then of course we have some flowers, lots of flowers actually. And that would be the small statue of Joseph. The cobblestones in the circle would represent the actual rosary. So instead of using your hands and doing the rosary, you just walk it. So I believe what they're supposed to do is you walk the rosary and say the Hail Mary. If the priest says, say 5 Hail Marys, then you'd have to do 5 laps, I guess. But here is our sacred goddess, Divine Mother. In this case, it'd be Mother Mary. Like I said, life-size statue, very sacred, very majestic, magical. I have much respect for not only the statue, but the deities and goddess associated with it. When you're looking at face to face with the statue and she turns her head, looks at you and starts like talking but not saying words, like, then you're like, and you get so freaked out that you jump back like 5 feet. You learn to respect her and believe that she's real. Because that happened to me one night. Scared the living bejesus out of me. Speaking of Jesus, that's Jesus with his sacred heart. So you have the Trinity represented, the three. So the Druidry and the Catholicism like really overlap. And we're just walking in our rosary here, doing our Hail Marys. Now what's funny is that I am walking counterclockwise, which is interesting because in the occult, to walk in a circle counterclockwise would be dark magic or dark goddess. Yeah, the Native Americans always walked clockwise, as well as like any white magic. It requires walking in circles. You would do it clockwise. That would be like the positive flow. To go against that would be like a negative flow or counter energies. But so I find it quite interesting that the Catholics here, I don't think they realize that they did this, but they set it up so that you walk counterclockwise. It should be clockwise. Now, the only reason I can think of going counterclockwise is that by walking clockwise, that would maybe represent masculine, and then going counterclockwise would be feminine. But I do find it odd. And if you walk it and you walk clockwise, and then do that like a couple of laps and then go the other way, you'll feel the energies like flow different. Or you can go counterclockwise and then switch back, but you will feel the difference in the energies and how they flow. So, that being said, this is where we come to honor the Divine Mother, the Virgin Mary. Now, I'm going to show you, like I said, she's like kind of like the predominant deity or figure here. Let me say my reverence to her 1 minute. Saying the predominant figure out here is the Virgin Mary, which Virgin starts with the letter V. So, back to the two trees and the shapes that they're in is the letter V. They're all a V shaped. So the two and the V are, in my opinion, whether or not they did it here consciously or not, I'm not sure, but it's clearly the divine feminine. That's why there's so many two trees. And then that one tree counterpart being the masculine. Now out here, there's one single, like what I would call a king or queen tree. It's the most majestic of all the trees in the land. It is the center point of those thresholds within thresholds within thresholds that intersect at the nexus point. That nexus point is right here, and it's a single tree. And this tree is about 5.5, 6 feet wide at the base. And then it goes as one tree and becomes two trees that go into that V shape. That V shape representing the feminine, I guess you could say like genitalia or entranceway to the womb. I put my staff over there to give you an idea of like how tall the tree is and how wide it is. I think my staff's like almost 5 feet, so that shows you like how wide and tall the tree is. I'd say like one of the trees is like 3 feet and the other one's probably like 2.5 feet. But the tree stands alone, like in this part of the grounds. It stands alone, like it's the king or queen. And I will give you a good shot of it. She stands alone. There's no other trees around it. There's that little tree right there, which, you know, it's a one, but it's a little one. So, my opinion, belief, and knowledge that having the lone feminine goddess two tree standing alone is the equivalent of the statue of Mary that's like predominant. So that the big oak tree there would represent the goddess. It's definitely the nexus point of all the thresholds. And I guess you could say like us Druids have the oak tree, the Catholics have the statue of Mary. But we identify Mary as just one of many representatives of the Divine Mother archetype, which is the goddess. So we don't have any problem lamenting her. I don't, because I had that experience with her one night where I was talking to her. And the cool thing about her is that some people out here do this, and I did it on my own, but I noticed other people do it too. Is they'll bring stuff here to like be blessed, and they'll like lay it either at her feet or put it in her hands and like leave it overnight or for a period of time to like have it blessed. I've done that and had very good results with the items being blessed, and I've seen other people do it too. I've also seen where, you know, people will, especially at Easter, will bring her flowers. So they definitely like honor her. And then I guess if anyone who had a problem with the Christian aspect, well, you got the tree right there, because like that's what I guess you could say the center point of Druidry would be trees, especially oaks. So as I was saying, it's a nexus point. It's a very magical area. Yeah, but I don't think anybody, like, I'm pretty sure that like no one who's a member of the church or any of that stuff, like maybe the priest might, but I don't think they realized that like the two trees, as in like the V-shaped trees, like are feminine, and the one here in the middle would be like representative of the goddess. So like I said, it's two worlds. And in the daytime, it's a Catholic church, but at nighttime, it's a Druid oak grove. It's in the country, but it's in the city, but it's in between. We've got some other oaks right here. This is kind of like a little grove picnic. These are all single oaks, though. Oh, I did say something about a hearth, I think, with Brigid being the goddess of the sacred fire of the hearth, or the forge. Well, here's the hearth. It's, I mean, obviously a fire pit, but it's oval shaped, hearth shaped. And then they have the other fire pit over here, which would be for cooking meats. They got a bunch of wood in there. It's a smoker. It being here in South Carolina and in the country, they gotta have it set up to cook some hogs, you know. There's barbecue plates, I guess. They probably at one point did barbecue dinners and sold plates to raise money for the church or for charity. Currently, they do a fish fry. I believe it's the month of March. They do every weekend, so that's like four Fridays in a row. They do a fish fry and sell tickets and sell plates of fish dinners to raise money for the church and whatever charitable donations they seem fit. As we walk away from the church, still on their property, we come across another two trees. That would be like the last one or the first one, depending on what direction you're going. But to reiterate that concept of having a masculine and feminine tree, like a tree that has its counterpart, the perfect example is right here. This is two hickory trees. Obviously that's a 1, and then over there is a 2. But the one tree over here, those are the only two hickory trees that are like in the grove, I guess you could say. I'm sure back in the woods there's more, but as far as that they kept and upkeep, these are the only two. Let's get a good picture of this one. hickory trees. If you look closely, you'll see little balls on the tree. Those are the hickory nuts. And the hickory tree behind it over there, you can't tell from the picture, but it has no hickory nuts on it. So what does that mean? What that means is the tree with the nuts on there, that's the feminine tree. And the other tree is the masculine tree. It's the pollinator. That's why they kept it. But I find that very interesting. You have the feminine tree with the nuts on there, her counterpart. Same with the number sequences, 1 and 2, being right behind her for pollination. So, very magical little landscape here. Very divine. As I was saying, it's various thresholds within thresholds that make that nexus point where it's quite easy to quantum jump or sidestep even various timelines, especially at night. And we do come up here quite often, especially in the fall and winter. We spend a lot of time up here with the trees and with the spirits. And I'm not sure. I believe this field belongs to the church, but I'm not sure. Other aspects of the property, and we do utilize this field for our initiation rituals. They use the field here for parking lot when they have like special events, like major events, like almost like carnivals, I guess you could say, but that's rare. But it's a huge field. Beautiful skies. Huge field. Way back down in there, the center of the picture frame, you can't see it really, but is the back entrance to a house that comes out on the other side of the property. We got a nice little gate here. That would be another threshold right here. This would be very much so a threshold. This is where we offer offerings to Papa Legba when the time is appropriate or needed. Not that it's a cemetery gate or anything, but it is a gate nonetheless. And it separates, the outer and the inner. I imagine at one time this would have been a cattle field. Cows. So, quite the interesting area. But yeah, often we leave our offerings to Papa Legba here. Not that Papa Legba is like sacred or significant in Druidry, but here at the Independent American Order of Druidry, we honor many deities. It is hot and humid here, so I don't come out too much during the day. Even at night, though, it's bloody hot, humid. All right, make sure I got all my stuff. I do. But yeah, the field is like the last or the end of the property for the church/grove school. You could say it's kind of like the playground for our Independent American Order of Druidry, where we do our initiation rituals and some holiday festivities, various prayers, things of that nature. It's our grove, and it is a very, very magical place. It's probably one of the most magical places I've ever had the pleasure of playing on or dwelling on. I mean, I don't necessarily dwell there, I dwell down the road, but it's a very magical piece of property. it offers up various gifts to me often. When I first started coming here, I did a druid ritual that I learned early in my years, where you challenge the elements, elemental land spirits that dwell in any particular parcel of land. Well, you challenge them to a kind of like a contest, and if you succeed and win, they have to submit to your authority, and in doing so, they will submit at various times gifts. So I did the ritual and succeeded and won, and the land spirits were very generous and kind. And since that time, it's been a little over a year, I guess, it's given me all kinds of things. In particular, it likes to give me, and I go up there often to find, various feathers. I've found owl feathers, hawk feathers, crow feathers, vulture feathers. I occasionally find various, not too much like dead animals a lot, but like ever so often you'll find something that got hit by a car off to the side of the road. The most wildest thing I've ever saw was an armadillo. Because being born and raised in South Carolina, and even in Boy Scouts and a nature lover, I was never aware that we had armadillos. But apparently I think it's called the 9-banded armadillo, has made its way from like Texas over to these parts. I've only seen one alive one since I've lived here. I was a couple of weeks back, I saw one at night, and it was having a dandy of a time. It was like eating like grubs, bugs and stuff from the ground. I don't see too much wildlife at night, or not too much during the day, other than like squirrels, some small squirrels, occasionally birds up there. At night, I don't see anything other than lots and lots and lots and lots of spiders. It's definitely spider territory up there. Trust me, it is. And more, that's where I found the black widow. Only other than spiders, the only other thing I ever find is toads. Occasional slug. But that's it. I don't even see so much as a bat. Now, there was one night where I was talking to the Divine Mother, the Dark Goddess, and some owls showed up right in that little area, made their presence known. And then on 2 occasions, I've seen a lone single deer. It was a doe. And that was like 3 or 4 in the morning. And she was by herself, which is kind of odd out here. They always like group up together for like safety and warmth and stuff. But on 2 occasions, I saw her. One time, I was at the big tree, the goddess tree. She came out of the woods and was eating acorns. Another time, I was walking on the side of the street, and she was at the big tree eating acorns. I call her Artemis because if you know the mythology of Artemis, the lone deer goddess connection. So, like I said, it's very magical up there. Other offerings I've gotten besides feathers, I've gotten like antique glass bottles I found in the ground. I found like some spider like toys, that little plastic spiders. It's weird. An occasional Easter egg. That's the funny thing. An occasional Easter egg. So it's like, once again, it's that pagan and Christian thing together. I found a rosary, a broken off part of a rosary. Various flowers, like I got it, not on this video, but another video I did where I was up at the sycamore tree. Or maybe it was on this video, I don't know. The sycamore tree had the flowers there, just like random flowers that that are there that shouldn't be there. That's pretty much it, I think. Feathers, the glass bottles, rosary. Yeah. I got like a wasp nest one time. There is one tree up there that I didn't get a chance to put in the video because it's kind of right by the road. It's kind of loud. It is its own majestic oak tree. It's very big, very gnarly. I call it Merlin, and it's kind of like, it's the classic, it's the druid's tree. It's the masculine. Like if the big tree, the goddess tree is like the goddess. This tree is the masculine. It's her counterpart, but it's way on the other side of the property. And I mean, it is a gnarly tree. It's a classic druid Celtic tree. I call it Merlin. And one time I was making my rounds and I found underneath it a dead, starling. And I Googled it, and I recommend you do the same. The spiritual meaning of a starling. And it's like an association in like Celtic mythology is like, it's directly associated with like druids and like messengers from the other world. And like it had a message for me. It was a very awesome experience to get like the meaning of that bird at that exact location in that tree. It was just dead on the ground. So I came back like the next day and collected it, buried it, took some feathers. That was a great offering from the elemental spirits because the message was like from the other world, literally. Yeah. That's about it. So, hope you enjoyed the video. Just, well, try to put some more videos up. I do.